Hello everyone, my name is Kelly Howe and I'm here today to educate you on Dawn Dish Soap and Dawn Saves Wildlife campaign. Before I get into the specifics of the campaign itself, I want to kind of give you a little background information on how Dawn originated and the events leading into the campaign. So how did Dawn originate? Well, in 1973, a man by the name of Paul Andrew decided he wanted to create a mixture of ingredients that would ultimately be known as a degreaser. He was aiming for something that would clean engines. So he came up with this blue mixture and he called it Dawn. And Dawn was eventually put to the test against other degreasers that were already on the market. And unfortunately for Paul, his degreaser failed. The degreasers that were already available on the market worked a little bit quicker than what Dawn did. So at this point, Paul felt as though he had no other choice but to sell his creation to a company named Procter & Gamble. And Procter & Gamble ultimately, at this point, created Dawn dish detergent. Crazy, right? From engine cleaner to dish detergent. So how does the wildlife campaign factor into all this? Well, in 1971, the International Bird and Rescue Research Center was founded. This is a non-for-profit organization that is committed to caring for birds that not only have been affected by natural disasters, but man-made disasters as well. So being the caring, committed individuals that they are, these volunteers set out to find a ingredient that was tough enough to cut through oil, yet delicate enough to use on their birds. So in 1978, the International Bird and Rescue Research Center received a grant. This grant was to allow the research center to test a variety of dish soaps to prove which one would ultimately be the toughest to cut through oil, yet the most delicate to use on their birds. And throughout their search, they discovered that Dawn dish soap was indeed the best soap to use on the oil as well as the birds. And this finding was huge, right? Huge for Procter & Gamble, huge for the International Bird and Rescue Research Center, but little did they know that their huge finding would be put to the ultimate test just a few short years later. In 1989, oil tanker known as Exxon Valdez was departing Alaska borders. Upon departing Alaska borders, the ship ran into some complications trying to steer clear of some icebergs. In the process of steering clear of these icebergs, the ship ran over some reef, ultimately tearing the hull of the ship. In the process of the tear, the ship leaked 11 million gallons of oil into the environment, reaching all the way to the Alaska Peninsula. So from where the ship sat, this was roughly a 460-mile stretch that the oil leaked. Sadly, during the cleanup, workers found 35,000 carcasses of birds and 1,000 carcasses of sea otters. And they claim that this was just a small portion of the animals' lives that were actually lost because the animal carcasses actually sink. However, on the plus side, Dawn did team up with the International Bird and Rescue Research Center and saved hundreds of birds' lives. And before I go any further, just a few interesting tidbits on the side that aren't in the presentation. There actually was a report on the Exxon Valdez. The captain was actually seen at a local bar prior to the departure, and even several hours after the accident, blood tests did confirm that there was alcohol in the captain's system. The captain insisted that he was not impaired by the alcohol. However, the state did charge him for operating a vessel while under the influence of alcohol. However, appearing in front of the jury decided that he was not guilty. They did fine him $50,000 and sentenced him to 1,000 hours of community service in Alaska. This was known as the State of Alaska versus Hazelwood case. So just a little information on the side that wasn't in the presentation. So anyways, after the Exxon Valdez incident, Dawn Dish Detergent, or Dawn Dish Soap, decided that they were going to step up and continue to donate bottles of their dish soap to relief efforts to save birds and sea otters and hundreds of animals. These relief efforts, one of the most recent and one of the more familiar ones that we recognize to date, would be the BP oil spill off the Gulf of Mexico. And just real quick, in 2008, BP accessed rights to drill oil at the Menocondo well, and fast forwarding 2 years, April 2010, drilling oil rig, Deepwater Horizon exploded. This explosion killed 11 workers, injured 17 others. Days after the explosion, underwater cameras discovered that the pipeline, the BP pipeline, was actually leaking oil and gas on the ocean floor. 87 days passed before workers were able to get the well capped. So July 15th, 2010, leaking approximately 4 million gallons of oil and gas onto the ocean floor. This has also now been known as the worst oil leak in world history. During the oil spill, Dawn did donate 12,000 bottles of dish soap free at no charge, and continued to help clean up with the oil spill aside from just the animals. So as you can see, Dawn has clearly worked its way up and earned its name as the Dawn Saves Wildlife campaign. Aside from continuing to work with the International Bird and Rescue Research Center, Dawn has also expanded to work with other campaign partners as well. And since the 1980s, Dawn has saved more than 60,000 animals. 60,000 animals. That's amazing. They also began teaming up with Marine Mammal Center to educate others on the issues of the severity surrounding oil spills, and to engage students in getting involved in wildlife education. Most recently, Dawn has teamed and partnered with Shedd Aquarium, and their efforts are aimed at continuing to team up with local teachers and students and to educate the next generation on wildlife conservation. Pretty interesting, right? Now I bet you're wondering what you can do to be proactive in the campaign yourself. Well, great news. I have the answer for you. Want to make a difference in the Dawn Saves Wildlife campaign? Simple. Buy a bottle of Dawn Dish Detergent, a participating bottle of Dawn Dish Detergent. Log on to www.dawnsaveswildlife.com. Enter the sequence of numbers on the back, and Dawn donates $1 for every bottle that you purchase. I know $1 doesn't sound much, but trust me, every penny counts. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this presentation as much as I have, and I hope you learned as much as I did about the severity around oil leaks and the importance of wildlife and wildlife conservation. Thank you.